what is the entrepreneurship mindset? So that is pretty much a new term in the industry than entrepreneurship, because previously people always think about entrepreneurship as if you want to be an entrepreneur, you need to start a business or you need to run something as a startup. So that is the mindset that people had previously. But what happens the recent past is people start to believe that entrepreneurship is kind of a mindset that anyone can develop, and it doesn't matter like you need to run a business or run a startup, but even as a developer or as a student or as a undergraduate, you also can build this mindset as entrepreneurship, and yeah, build this mindset as entrepreneurship. And using that mindset, you can achieve things, or you can innovate, or you can invent something in your industry without going to start it as a business. So for an example, like as students, as you all are like most of the times, like you all are doing assignments or projects or different hackathons, different things you are getting part with. So what you can do is you can deploy your entrepreneurship mindset there. So in a case like for an example, the easy thing that you all can relate is you all usually get the assignments, and then you'll always get a scope for a project and you need to build that one. So how your entrepreneurship mindset you can apply, or you can build these things. So it's not something a skill that you're born with. So entrepreneurship is not something that some people born with entrepreneurship skills or not the others. So it's something that you can build throughout the period of time, and it's about how you apply it and how frequent you apply it. So then you will be get that skill developed throughout the period. So for an example, if you're doing a project or a course where you get a scope, and what you can do it is you first need to achieve that scope, so then you will be achieve your marks. But on top of that, you can put your entrepreneurship mindset to think what you can do different than the scope, or what are the ways you can improve this step up. So most of the times, as I also comes through this period, so we always try to finish the assignments in the last minute. So we never had the time to think like what to do more, because we most of the times we don't get the time to finish it even. So it's always like last minute submissions we do. But as a mindset, you can develop it. So you can kind of push yourselves to do these assignments like kind of a day or two before, and then you can think like what you can do something more than what is in the scope, or something different than what others are doing. So if you see that everyone is doing it based on the scope, so you can think like whether you can apply any different techniques to do it in a different way, or is there any new trends in the industry, or even in your particular language or a particular tool that you're using, how you can use it in a bit more different way to innovate something or kind of change something than what others doing. So that is one of the easiest ways that you can build this entrepreneurship mindset. And the same thing you can apply it in your industries as well. So when you go to the industry also, like you are going to work in a particular technology or particular language or particular project, so you can see like the problems, because entrepreneurship mindset is the one of the main qualities, always look for the opportunities and always look for the problems, and then convert those problems as opportunities before I mean when others are seeing that as a problem or obstacle, you can see it as a kind of opportunity, and you know the way how to convert that a problem or a obstacle into an opportunity. So how quickly you can adapt to that mindset, it will be really help you if you get into the industry. Then when people are like, when you're doing a group as a group, you're doing a project or something in your company, if there are obstacles or problems comes, you are the first person will be comes with a solution. So that is also one of the main skills in entrepreneurship, where adapting to the difficult areas, so adapting to the uncomfort zones, and then how to come out from that. So that is the one trait, and you can apply that in your industry as well. So you don't need to be a person who start a business. So that is one of the areas, but this is also one of the areas you can apply an entrepreneurship mindset in your projects or in your workspace as well. So looking for opportunities, looking for problems, and try to convert that as opportunities. And as soon as you convert that as opportunities, you'll always look for a solution. So as long as you find the solutions, you can fast forward and move the project, as well as move the team, as well as that will help you to move your like a career, or else move your position in the companies as well. So that is also one of the ways that entrepreneurship people are looking in these kind of era. And mostly nowadays, the companies also looking for people who already have like entrepreneurship mindset. So for an example, like if you're like there are 100 people are coming to the industry and or a particular company for an interview. So mostly nowadays the companies are looking people not based on their marks or academic records. So that is one of the aspects they take. But most of the times they look like what are the things that you have achieved different than rest of the people, and especially how your mindset or how you're thinking in solving problems, or when you see an obstacle, how you are turning that as a opportunity, or how you are turning that as a kind of a thing that benefits for you. It's either can a learning curve that you can go through when you're turning a problem or obstacle into opportunity, or else it can be a kind of a solution that you identify or invent something as well. So it can go either ways, but it's always about the mindset that you build. That's one of the skills as companies are currently looking in the industries as well. So entrepreneurial journey, the journey of starting a startup. So I'm not going to talk about other businesses as well. So when it comes to entrepreneurship, there are different categories. So small businesses also comes under the entrepreneurship if they're doing something different or trying to break something in the industries. And startup is one of the categories of scalable startups. And then it comes as a large scale businesses or service oriented businesses. And then social entrepreneurship as well, where people do some companies or do some startups join together as a social as a society and do it for a social activities or social benefits. So that's also comes as entrepreneurship. So I'm mostly going to focus this the area based on startups, because that is pretty much what I do, and it's kind of I can also share my own experience, because I'm not sure about the other startup category or other entrepreneurship categories. So I'll just get you guys into a bit of my journey, like how I started and how my journey started. So then you can also connect like how you can start it as a degree as a software engineer and working in the industry for a while, and then how you can start a startup later on, or how that process will work. So then you can get some ideas on that. And before I go to the next steps as what are things you can do, or the process of starting a startup. So my journey is pretty much like I started in IIT. So in 2013, end of 2012. So that's why we started the degree, and then I finished in 2016. So that's the period of time I would say like you can explore more and you can learn more as well, because that's a period of time when you're in undergraduate. You can try a lot of things and you can fail. You won't get noticed much as well, because that's a period of time you're growing as well. So you can do more things, you can get failed, and you can learn a lot of things as well. So best thing is more than academics. So if you're a person looking into get into entrepreneurship, or looking to start a business or to start a startup, so more than academics, so that is one of the things that you need to focus definitely. But more than that, focus on areas where you can get connected with a lot of people and build your networks. That's one of the areas. And the other one is get into most of the competitions or most of the entrepreneurship activities that the sessions or the uh, events that they are organizing. So get into that and learn from that. So that is one of the easiest ways that you can get an idea about how entrepreneurship works. So it's not like as simple as starting a business and just running it. So there's a process of it, and you need to put a lot of time to get that process as well. So it's better like at this stage as an undergraduate, so you can easily get into different hackathons and then try to build products if you want to be a startup based on a tech startup or something based on products. So that is one of the areas you can take. And the other side is get into different events and things organized around the country or around the globe, and then meet a lot of people and get into that mindset as entrepreneurship mindset, which will help you a lot along with the networks as well. So that's one of the things that happens with me as well. Like when I started in IIT in 2013, I get into Global Startups Lab, so which is organized by Michigan University, and that I don't know like whether they are doing that these times as well, but it happens into 13, 14, 15 for that period. So which is similar to usual hackathons that happens, but it's the only way it's different is you have to build a product, you have to take it to the market, and they'll be teach you different business related like sessions, as well as how to start a business and how to scale it as well. So that's one of the like kind of changing points for me. So I got to know a lot about entrepreneurship, and a lot about how to start a business or how to start a startup. And through that I gained a bit of knowledge, and then we started some startups, but eventually it didn't go well, and it's end up in a failure stage, so we couldn't continue it after that. So after that I was like more into the degree, and then like get into the final years and finished it. And then as usual, like I started as a software engineer, so I worked in a couple of companies, and that period only like I got into more into blockchain, so started to learn more blockchain, and started to build different applications. But that mindset is always there, like trying to do something different, or trying to learn something different. So that is maybe I would say like that mindset is there, like entrepreneurship mindset. That is one of the reasons I get into blockchain as well, because before that my work is more towards in Java and machine learning and data science. So because of want to try that something new, and if you see something different, so it's like kind of you get into learn about that technology or tool as well. So that mindset kind of pushed me into a blockchain. And once I started to learn blockchain, I got really like kind of captivated by the idea about blockchain, and got inspired from the way that blockchain solving multiple problems in the current day-to-day lives, and how it's eliminating the middleman, and how it's changing the way we interact or trust each others. So that's one of the areas that I got more inspired and more excited to learn more. And then that's how I get into blockchain. And later I was getting to a full-time job in blockchain and worked as a blockchain lead and all. So at a point, like I started to do more consulting also, like for multiple companies in Sri Lanka and outside. So later in 2019, kind of I decided like uh, whether to continue it, or is starting as a startup based on blockchain. So at the time, get into like find out different problems in the blockchain areas, and what clients are facing when I'm consulting, and also kind of seeing multiple problems there. So first identify those problems, and then work on a bit of a research and solutions. And that's how my journey started into blockchain. I mean, my journey started as a startup, and that's how then I started into Niftron, and then like launched Niftron early 2020. And from that we are still like a year and a half old startup that already we got investments, and we got multiple clients in Sri Lanka and outside. So it's all about a process that you need to follow, and I'll take you through the process in a while. So that's how I get into the startup journey or the entrepreneurship journey. But what is important in this whole journey is it's about not when you're starting a startup, or not the which age you are starting a startup, or which time period you are starting a startup, but you need to have that entrepreneurship mindset throughout the period. So which will be always help you to scale your knowledge, or scale your positions in the career wise, as well as in your academic wise. If you are students, if you are applying that entrepreneurship mindset, it will be help you to outstand you from the rest of the people, as well as if you're in an industry, that will help you to scale your career more fast than your peers. And if you're starting a business also, that will help you to start it in a proper way, and push you to scale that business more fast and more speed than the rest of the people are doing it in the industries. So the first thing you need to look when you're starting a startup is the problem. So most of the times where the startups fails, or else even when it comes to as a students, when your final year projects fails, most of the time is you always start with a solution, and then trying to find where the problem is. So if you start with a solution, or if you start with an idea, and then if you look for a problem, it's almost like there won't be any problem, but you create some problems and trying to fix your solution like kind of perfectly matching for that problem. But what happens is for a project or a research, it may work. But when it comes to a startup, if you're trying to, if you have, because as a technical students or as a programmers, we always like to build things. So we always don't want to like go deep into understanding the requirements or talking to the customers or doing the market research and all, because for us is the most exciting thing is if we get a problem or if you get an idea, we just need to build it and see how it works. So we put most of the time into that and we build those things. But when we go to the market, it's where the actual the true phases comes, or where we get actual the hit by the market that most of the people says. When you will be get hit by the market, it's where you get realize that there's no such problem exists, and or else it's exist, but it's only for a few people, and they are also not willing to pay for your solutions. So that's where you get a initial reflection or understanding that you put a lot of time in building this product and taking to the market. But if you reduce that time and the cost by first talk to the market and first understand what is the problem and then working backwards, so then that would save a lot of money and a lot of time as well. So in a startup, it's always a couple of things you need to make sure. One is time. The second one is money. So if you don't have money, it's like you are taking off a flight. So you need enough fuel to take off the flight, as well as you need to take off the flight in the right time. So if both are not there, or the both parameters are not matching, or one is missing and one you have a lot, then the flight will definitely crash. So taking off is the most difficult part in a startup. So once you take it off, then it's about like how you can manage to fly and get landed in the goal, or where you want to land it. So that's the directions you are going to change it, or you're going to navigate to a different locations, or pivoting from one goal to another goal. So that will be changed throughout the course of the travel. But the most important thing is, or most of the startups that fail is the first year that they started, because they are not starting it in a proper way. And when they started, they feel that it works, so it's more suitable solution that they're building. But when they go to the market is where the actual truth that reveals that it's not needed for the market, or sometimes the market is not ready for what you are building. So always try to find the problems first. So look for problems which people are having, or it's better like if you are facing that problem. So in my case, the way that I started Niftron is as a blockchain as a service platform, because when I'm consulting to clients, I directly witness that the problems that they're facing and what are the issues that they're facing. And I also kind of relate to that because I'm in the same domain and I'm also doing the same kind of activities what they are going through as well. So I can easily relate to that. So then I can understand that problem. And then it's all about the research that you're going to do, especially the market research, because it's always when we come up with the idea, it's always like it's better like if you become your best critic. So then you can kind of critique with your idea and then criticize your ideas or criticize your decisions before you go and out and get criticized by someone. So it's always better to be a critic and then trying to do more research and prove that whether the problem is actually exists, or else is there is it only for a particular region people that are facing this issue, or is it a global issue, or is it something that you want to solve, but is it something that if you solve, whether you will be able to earn it as well. So that is also one of the aspects you need to look. I mean, you don't need to be more money oriented. So, and don't start a business if your aim is just to start or just to make money. So if you have that as an aim, then that will always goes in the most of the times it will goes in the wrong side, because start that business or start that startup as a vision that you want to solve some problem or want to help a set of audience, or else you inspired by some aspects of a technology or inspired by some ways that you feel that it will be solve a particular issue in the real market. So just go behind that. So just try to solve something and just try to help someone through your products or through your startup. So that is the best way to go. And as same as you need to focus on how you can make the money, because as I mentioned, if you don't have the fuel, you can't fly the flight. So you need to make that money. But if you always focus on money, then what will happen is you will be lose the direction on solving the people problems or solving a particular or creating a particular solution for a problem. So end of the day is if that is missing, you can't make money out of that as well. So you need to focus more on that, where the people will pay for you, and how better you are helping them to solve their issues, or how better you are helping them to improve their lifestyles. And the next one is it's about the solution. So once you do a bit of research on market to understand whether the problem exists, or else whether the people are willing to pay for this, and whether the solution is actually good for for them to solve the particular issue, or else about the competitors out there in the market. Because when we are getting an idea, that means definitely someone will already get it as well. So it's very rare that we get a unique ideas that comes into our minds. So we always need to go back and check it as well, whether it's whether like that idea is kind of already exist, or else what other people already have that idea or have that as a products. So look for that, and then see like what is the differentiators or uniqueness that you have compared to them, and then use to solve based on that. Just give me a second, guys. There's some pop-ups coming. Yeah, sorry for that. Yeah, so the next one is it's about the solution. So after the research, you work on the solutions and build your solution as most of the times, like don't build the solution as a full scalable solution, but always try to build it as a POC or MVP. So this is also the next area where the most of the startups fails. They try to build the product as perfect, or kind of the perfectionist mindset, where they put a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of money to build the product as a proper one, like kind of without less bugs, so with more user friendliness, and build it as a proper app or a proper product that they can make it at that moment. And then they like put a lot of time and effort to make that one to the market. But that is one of the things where most of the people goes wrong, because as I mentioned, the time and the money is most important when you're when you're taking off. So as the better the way that you can approach is build a POC or MVP, which definitely will have a lot of bugs, and which definitely will have less user friendliness. So it's an example that proven by the past as well. So if you go and check the first version of Facebook, so that is like not user friendly. It's not like nice colors, or not like nice fancy themes or anything. It's just like a normal HTML page or a PHP page. So that's how it usually starts. And even if you go and check the first Airbnb page or first Uber app, so everything is started as a scratch. The reason is it's about the time and the money you have. So usual timeline, they usually tell it for a POC or MVP for a business or a startup. Usually the startup timeline is usually 3 to 4 weeks. So you have to build your product as soon as possible within 3 to 4 weeks. That means a month. Within that month, you have to build a POC application which customers can use up to an extent. So even when we started Niftron, even though it goes as a software as a service, as a SaaS platform, but most of the times for our first 2-3 clients, until we get like 5 or 6 clients, the way that we do the billing is it's a manual billing. So we have like credits like AWS where people can go and purchase and use it. But usually when you do it in AWS send you monthly invoices. So we didn't put that time and effort to build that like invoice generation system or billing system, or how to calculate this monthly. So what we do was, before like end of the month, like 2 to 3 days before, we manually do these calculations, and we have a email template how that will be sent out to the clients, and then we manually put these amounts and numbers and we send it out. So which is okay at the start level because we don't have that much clients and we can manage it. And the same time, if we try to build all of those things, and if the product is not suitable for that payment model or that type of business model, then you have to go back and change everything. For that time, you already wasted a lot of time and wasted a lot of money as well. So build it as a sketch and try to do a lot of things in a manual. And as long as you have bugs, that's totally fine. But the important aspect is put it to the market. So you build a product or solution, put it to the market and get that 1 to 2 customers. And then you get a feedbacks and you get a reflection from that and understand it. What are things you are lacking, or what are the features that the clients or your users or customers need at most, or what are things that they already have it, but if they have some features that they are willing to pay for those as well. So there are 2 kind of features. One is must to have and one is good to have. So always like put these two kind of features and 2 kind of ideas to the clients and see which are the things that they want or they must to have, and at the same time they are willing to pay for that as well. So then put your time and build those things, because that will get you more revenue or cash flow comes into the business. And that's what actually customers wants. Because if you are like a software developer, so you always like to have a lot of features in your products and a lot more user friendly and all. But when you go to the market, sometimes people don't care how user friendly that is. So when it comes to like tech products, most of the times the early users, they don't mind whether it's user friendly or not. They are okay to adjust with like non-responsive sites or pages as well. And they are okay if there are some bugs as well, because they also knows it's a startup and this is they are your second or third clients. So they are okay with that, and those clients are the ones like we call early adapters. So their aim is to try out this product and get as maximum they can. But when you actually need to do user friendly and when you actually need to do lot of features is when your products comes to the areas where the normal users or the late adapters trying to use it. So for the early adapters, the aim is to put the product into the market and get a lot of feedbacks from them and get a lot of reflection from them, and then adjust your products based on that. Always it won't go in the way that we plan. So sometimes we do good analysis, we do good market research, but when we put it to the clients and things with the MVP or POC or MVP applications, we get some ideas that this is not something that the clients wants, but they want something bit different than what you're offering. Or else some of the features or things that you're putting out to the clients, you feel that it's not important, but they feel that is the most important requirement that they have at the moment. So talk to the customers, and then if you feel that there's a area that you can pivot, so pivot your business into that area and then scale it upwards. So it's not means that you need to change from your goal or from your vision, but you change slightly at the moment to go through that and get those initial customers and get that business rolling. And later part, you can go into offering more of your planned services as well. But the important thing is, when you get a lot of bad comments or bad feedbacks, don't give up. So the only way is like you can try to pivot and then try to scale it. So for that, what you need is at the starting time is you need to have a lot of time, and you need to have a lot of money as well. I mean as a money as you need to have a good enough amount of money to try it out without wasting that money to do the POC or MVP as the full-fledged applications. So those are the ways you can control your cash flow, and those are the ways you can control your time to build something as a sketchy version, put it to the market, and then get the feedbacks and then pivot it from that. And always when you're a business or startup, or even it's for your what are things you do in the life as well, so always have a fixed goal. So you need to have a fixed goal which you want to achieve. So whether it's in a degree, or whether you want your dream job, or whether you want to have your dream career or something, or it's a startup, anything, you need to have a fixed goal where you want to go. But the thing is, you need to have a flexible plan, or sometimes plans A, B, or different strategies. Because if you have a fixed plan, what will happen is you will be go into, because it's never goes as what we plan. So what happens is always your plan is like this, but the reality or the expectation versus reality. So your plan never be as how you plan for anything in that sense. Like it's not for only startup, but anything that you plan, it's always have different paths and different ups and downs, obstacles and all. So if you put your plan as so much concrete plan, then what will happen is if there's some obstacle comes or some downs comes, it's kind of make you shocked as well, because you never have those things in your plan and you don't know how to react it, or you don't know how to with what to do with that obstacle, whether to switch it your plan or you switch it your course, or you'll be waste a lot of time thinking and making the decisions. So always have a goal as where you want to go from A to B, but the plan is keep it as more flexible. If there's obstacle comes, if you have different strategy to break that obstacle and go forward, that's better way to go. Or else if you are feeling that it won't work, so switch your path, change your path or change your course, but you know that where you're going. So you can change that at the moment to come out of that obstacle and then take your path directly to your goals. So that is one of the important things. Have a solid concrete goal or a fixed goal, but have a flexible plan or multiple strategies where you can go and flexibly switch it from one place to another one. But end of the day is you know like where you're going. So if you don't know like where you're going, that's where most of the issues comes. But as long as you know where you're going and go for that, and when you face an obstacle or a problem, don't try to apply the same mindset or the same technique or the same solution multiple times, because that's one of the things as well where the decision making makes most of the startups fails, because they take a lot of time to make that perfect decision. But the way that startups actually get success is making the decision so fast and fail so fast. So as long as you make multiple decisions so fast and fail, than someone taking like 2 months to make a particular decision, and you are making a decision now and you failed in the next week, you learn that this won't work. So next thing is you'll be trying for a different solution or a different ways to solve that problem. So you are making the next decision. But the person who is waiting for a month or two, they're actually wasting that time to make the decision, and they'll be eventually fail after a period of time, and they need to reflect it. So don't fear to fail. So in startups, it's always you like kind of comes out of your comfort zone. I mean, that's what people tell, like don't be in the comfort zone, comes out of the comfort zone. But in the startup is always you will be in the uncomfort zone. So you always will be in the uncomfort zone. And if you try to go into the comfort zone, that's where the most of the problem comes, because you won't innovate from your comfort zone and you will be stick with what you have and you're happy with that. So always try to be in that uncomfort zone. So that's where you will be learn a lot, as well as you will be push yourself, because you're already in an uncomfortable zone. And I mean, make that as a kind of a habit or a comfortable area to be in that uncomfort zone. So which will be help you a lot than you are staying in the comfort zone. And the do's and the don'ts for a startup when you're starting. One is select the co-founders with the right attitude, who can understand your vision as same as you. So most of the times we select like people that we know, or else people that we are always gathering. So that's good up to a level, because you have a good rapport with them and you know them up to a level. But where the issues comes is you never done any business with them. So they are your friends, or they're your colleagues, or they're your peers, but the business is totally different. So do a like simple businesses, or do understand like how their mindset will work when it comes to business or running a business. So once you select the right people with the right attitude, so the attitude is mainly important. You need to select people who don't want to give up so fast, and who are not like going behind the money. As a startup, as I mentioned, go behind the problems and solving that vision. So you need to take the peoples in that categories, and as well as they need to understand the vision as you, because otherwise there'll be conflicts comes. And the other thing is when you're starting a startup, definitely for an example, like people like me, like who are starting as the first generation entrepreneurs. So if you already have some entrepreneurs, your brothers or your family members, then you can easily get some advice, or you already like seeing them when you're growing up as well. But when it comes to first generation entrepreneurs, most of the times we like to get advice from others, how some things work, so how to make some decisions. as well as there are a lot of people out there who will come and advise you as well. So most of the times they do it in a good cause, or just because of they care you, or they just want to advise you to not to do in the wrong things. But the important thing is listen all the advices. So it's nothing wrong in listening advices, but end of the day, make your own decision. So don't do something just because someone told, because end of the day is, if that is goes well, that's fine. But if it is not goes well, then you will be have a regret that you should maybe try something, but you thought as well. So always, whether it's failing or success or whatever, listen to advices, but try to make your own decisions and build your networks and contacts that will be help you in the startup journey, because you need to know a lot of people, because you can't do everything alone. So you need to get a lot of help from outside. So build that contacts as much as possible. And when you're stuck or confused, look for help. So like that's nothing is wrong in that. So either you can talk with your friends or people who understands you, or else you can talk with mentors or advisors, or some people already into the business or startups, because they can relate to what you are going through at the moment. So that's one of the thing. And as I mentioned, set clear goals and with flexible plans. And the don'ts is don't start a business just to make a money. So that is one of the wrong areas. So start a business with the right purpose, and most importantly, stick to that. So when most of the times we start with the right cause or right purpose, but then after we make money and the business started to roll up, then we kind of not stick to why we started, and we move towards the different areas as making a lot of money or scaling it or looking for different things. But always remember, start with the right purpose and stick with that as much as you can, with that alignment, or with align with that vision. And don't waste time making decisions, especially at the early stage. Later stages, maybe you have to make a lot of strategy decisions and like convince a lot of investors and people as well. But at the early stage, don't waste a lot of time to make decisions. And as mentioned, don't be a perfectionist at the start. So build sketchy things and put it out. That's totally fine. If it even have a lot of bugs and even a silly errors, so that's totally fine. Put it out and then see what they want, or what are things they don't want from your application, and then adjust it and build it from there. So when is the right time to start the entrepreneurship journey? It's differ from people to people. As we know, some famous entrepreneurs started at early stage, and some started at after 60 or 70. So it doesn't matter. But the thing is, the most important is, it's not about when you're starting a startup or when you're starting a business. It's important is when you're building that entrepreneurship mindset. So it's always better to build that entrepreneurship mindset when you're in the degree level, or when you're at the level now. So try to build that entrepreneurship mindset. So some people, you may already have that entrepreneurship mindset or skills that you already built it. So most of you may be like to do something in an innovative way, or most of you maybe like to do something different than what others doing. So some people may already have those traits, or already have those mindsets. So that's good. So what you need to do it is keep building those things and make it as a habit. And if you are new to this, or if you want to do something, try to build that mindset at this level, and that will help you in the studies, as well as that will help you stand out from your the batch when it comes to the interviews or different selections. And that will help you in your career as well, when you're going to the companies. That will help you to stand out from your peers or colleagues when it comes to making a decisions, or the way that you're thinking. Basically the thinking pattern will change. And later you can decide at which point, if you see a actual valid problem. And don't start a business just because someone else did the same thing in other part of the world, or someone else doing it because you want to start it. But wait for that period of time and see when you can get a solid problem that you feel that you can able to solve, and which will based on the market research and analysis, if it is able to solve a lot of people's issues and problems, then wait that time period, take the time, and then once you find that perfect solution or perfect problem, you can start it. So that is one of the ways you can start. And some people, they hardly go into entrepreneurship, so they go and start multiple businesses, fail, learn, fail, learn, fail, learn, and then until they get success. So that is one way as well. So it depends on people to people, but mostly when it comes to people from the Asian backgrounds, or people from, especially from the technical side, we usually after the degree we usually go to the works. So I mean, it doesn't matter. It's not like after the degree you need to start a business immediately if you want to be an entrepreneur. So go through that process and like get into the corporate cultures and learn from that, or maybe get into a work in a startup. So that will teach you a lot of things than that you starting a startup. So learn a lot of things and then wait for that moment to find actual good problem that you can start without starting multiple things, because sometimes you will be feel not interested after a period of time, or those are things maybe later comes as a reasons to give up as well. So don't do that wrong decisions. If you are really interested, go and full-fledged doing multiple things. But if you want to explore but you don't know when to try, so go through that process and see until you find that perfect problem. So that's pretty much about the session. So I hope like you guys had get some idea about entrepreneurship and how you can start a business or something. So anyway, it's a short time and I try to share my experience as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And if you want to reach me, you can feel free to reach me through by scanning the QR code as well. Thank you guys. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Sharmilan. We have actually a couple of questions, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I'll read them out to you. So, what is your opinion on quitting your job and then starting your own thing? I think he probably refers to like quitting your job and starting from scratch.
Okay. Yeah. So it's better. So when there are two things. One is when you are serious about your startup, because I also quit my job before starting a startup. So that will help you in two ways. One is you can put your full focus on that startup or what you're building, and you can build that with more time and more flexibility than doing it as a side hustle. And the other thing is that will be help you when you are going to meet your investors, because the investors don't want to invest on a project where you are doing as a side hustle. So they want to invest on a thing where they want to see whether you are passionate about it and whether you believe in that startup. So for an example, if there a person comes and saying that I'm having a nice idea, a nice product, but I'm working in a company, and the same time there's another person coming and say that maybe he don't have a nice product or a brilliant idea, but he quit his job and doing it for a full time. So that shows that passion and belief that you have on your idea. So that is one of the reasons people always say that if you really want to start a startup and if you believe that your startup will work, so quit your job and start it. And before quitting that, make sure you have that kind of financial balance or financial things to keep you run for a particular time. So don't quit and start without any goal, as I mentioned. So for an example, if you want to start a business, make sure at least for a year or two, without getting a single penny, you can survive or not. So you have to kind of make that serving. So you have to somehow make sure that you can survive for at least minimum 2 years without making any money. So then you can definitely go and quit your business and you can start, because when you start a business, you don't know like how fast you can make a money or how long it will take to make a money. So the most of the times people quit quick, they make the decision to quit the job at fast, and then after 6 months of time they knows that they are not making money, so then they quit that startup and then go into the jobs. So if you have that kind of a track record, it will be not help you for a long time. I mean, as a long term, when you're starting a next business also, your friends or the people who trust you, they knows that okay, you'll be quit your job now and you'll be start something, and then you will be quit that and then you will be start a job again. So don't build that kind of plan, but wait for it and make sure. And you have to have that belief that this startup will work, and I'm happy to I'm happy to like kind of invest my next 2 years time in this, and then if it is working or not working, I'm okay. I'm happy to put that 2 years time without making a single rupee of money. So then if you're sure on that, then you can definitely quit and start. And especially if you're looking for investments or if you're going to get investors, then definitely the first thing they'll be asked is whether you're doing it full time or a part time. So if you're doing it as a part time or a side hustle, no one will invest on you as well.
Well, yeah. So the other question, I think it kind of relates to this. So how do we raise funding?
Yeah, so raising funding, there are different stages and different ways that we can raise funds. So we raise funding in multiple ways. So one is initially we started as bootstrapping. So that means we are putting the money from our pockets and running the business for a while. So that is the early stage, and that is the best thing as well, because if you're going to an investor, you can directly go to an investor even if you have an idea. So you can go to the investors and get it. But the way that they see you or the way that they negotiate with you will be totally different when you're going with the idea than when you're going with a product which already used by at least 2 or 3 clients. So especially if you're going with an idea which is used by one of the foreign clients, then what will happen is the negotiation that you're making with your investors will be more easy. So you can issue a less number of shares or equity from your business and raise a lot of money than when you're going with an idea or a concept or just a product. So that is one different thing. And initially we did it through Bootstrap, and then we got Spiralation from ICDA, so which is a startup funding program in Sri Lanka. So you can apply for that and you can get a funding for somewhere close to 1.5 million at per startup they give. So you can get through that. So we got that one as at the initial stage. And then we got through Lanka National Network, which is one of the leading and the largest angel funds in Sri Lanka, which funding. So which we got as our seed funding. So which we got around 23 million LKR. So which is a seed fund that you can raise. So then also like it's something that investment is not like one-time thing. So you get a pre-seed fund like Spiralation or accelerators, and then you go to the seed fund where the angel investors comes or the private investors comes, and then you goes to the seed A, seed B, seed C funding. So where you'll be usually go to the VCs outside Sri Lanka and get those monies, as it depends on the product or a startup. So it's usually start from like 5 million USD or 10 million USD or 20 million USD. So it differs from that. But it's something that goes as a repetitive, as a cycle based on the business. But as I mentioned, like the context is important even for when you're reaching investors, because if they know already you and if they at least talk with you multiple times, so you already built that relationship with them, because it's usually tell it as getting an investor for a startup is like you're doing a marriage. So because you have to take them onto a board and you have to live with them for next 4 or 5 years minimum. So you have to have the same mindset and you have to like kind of agree on the particular vision, and you have to know each other well. So basically you need to trust each other. So if you don't trust each other, if the investors don't trust you and you don't trust investors, then it won't work, because you can't make any decisions with them, because you have to always, when you're making a decision after you get a funding, you can't make a decision, but you need to have all of those people to make the decision as well. So it's always better to keep that relationship and keep that networks. So raising funds, it's not that difficult at the moment or even before. I would say as long as you have a proper product with a good amount of clients that's getting more and more revenue coming properly, so then they'll be happy to invest you.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Sharmilan. We have a couple of other questions, but due to time constraints,
Sure.
we limited. So I'll forward them to you personally. So thank you for coming today and sharing your experience in your journey of starting your company, Niftron. So we are truly grateful for your presence. So thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank you.